welcome everyone to our first information evening get-together of the Ultrafast Broadband Business Strategy Group. We hope to bring you a number of these events to ensure that Wanganui leads the way in the adoption of ultrafast broadband. Special welcome to our guest speakers, some of whom have travelled some distance to be here, and to our fantastic digitally aware Mayor, Annette Main, and to our MP, Chester Burrows, and of course to all of you. I'd like to invite our Mayor, Annette Main, to officially opening the evening. Thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
So thank you all for coming. Welcome. It's wonderful to see so many people, and so welcome to friends and business community partners, the occasional relation. I see an occasional relation here. And to all of you, it is really good to see so many people interested in the future for us all. And last week, Mary-Ann Archibald, who sends her apologies actually, she's got another function that she had to be at tonight, but her and I spoke at the 2Ns conference last week and talked about the role of rural broadband and where we want Wanganui to be with the rollout between urban and rural. And we did a presentation and we were a bit nervous about it because we were in front of the whole range of telcos and we were the only council that were there presenting. But we were absolutely amazed by the questions we got. We got more than anybody else. I think everybody else's speeches were so boring that everybody was sort of gone to sleep. So they got one or two questions and we got dozens and dozens of questions of what we were doing and how we were doing it and why we were doing it. And what I realised was what we were doing was explaining to the industry what was going on in our district, what kind of people we had, what kind of things they were already doing and what they could do to take advantage of what ultrafast broadband is bringing, firstly to our urban area and hopefully to our rural area if our lobbying, Chester, welcome. Our lobbying works really well to get our rural areas connected as well. So we came away feeling very good about the work that we've been doing. The District Council has the Digital Leaders Forum, of which the business group is one part, but there are several groups working very strongly there. And so if any of you belong to any of the sectors involved, such as education, sport, John, keep telling me them. There's a whole group of them, isn't there, of different groups. If you fit into any particular category and there's something you want to know, contact Mary-Ann at the council and she'll tell you who is the leader of that particular group on that forum, because that is the forum that is actually tasked with the job of getting all sectors in Wanganui to know what the advantages are of broadband. For me, it's been an interesting time in the last year. Suddenly, I've developed a reputation myself as knowing more about ultrafast broadband and what to do on my iPad than anybody else I know. I just say that my friends say, I have no idea what you're talking about when you're talking about the cloud, when you're talking about Evernote and Dropbox and applications you can use for this and that. They've got absolutely no idea. And these are people who are 20 years younger than me and people that have fantastic ideas and no idea how to use what's coming in the future and is here now in terms of technology to help them develop those ideas. So we're here tonight to get some questions answered and to learn a lot more ourselves, and I hope that this will just be the first of many of those forums. So again, thanks for coming and I look forward to learning more myself. Kia ora.
Thank you, Annette. At the end of the presentations tonight, we are going to have a question and answer session. So if you've got a lot of questions you've got stored up, that's a great opportunity to get the answers to those. Now, our next speaker is Chris Dibbins. Chris is the principal of Wanganui's forward-thinking Tawhero School, a 188-student Decile 1 school. Chris says Tawhero's goal is to focus on developing positive relationships with all children, staff, parents and community members to improve the outcomes for our children. Chris is such a respected principal. He mentors first-time principals and the Education Review Office has seconded Chris to assess the achievements of other schools. So Chris will speak briefly and then hand over to Lee to explain some of the more technical details of Tawhero School's implementation, but not too technical. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. VoIP, that's my brief, Voice over Internet Protocol. If you're in a business or involved in managing a business or organising a school and use the telephone as a major means of communication, then you'll be extremely interested in VoIP because it saves you and your business money. VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol, is basically where the phone calls you make go through the internet. That includes all local, national, international and cell phone calls. Lee Grant will speak to you very shortly about the more technical parts of it, because I certainly couldn't. But I'll just tell you a little bit about the Tawero School journey. It began in February when I was reviewing our expenditure on all our administration. The intention was to reduce these costs so more money could be utilised on supporting student achievement and raising student achievement. I'd approached all the service providers around and asked them to offer new quotes for our telephones, and this really wasn't successful. We didn't get a great reply and it wasn't going to save a lot of money for us. So during our Board of Trustees discussions, one of our board members, Greg Titchbond, mentioned VoIP. This led us to contacting Lee and having a great conversation with Lee with the possibility of implementing it at Tawero School. Lee and his team organised the installation, and it was a bit of a test case at that stage. So currently at school now we have an account with a provider called 2Talk, and there's also another provider you can use called Call Plus. Over the last 7 months, VoIP has cost us an average of $30 a month, and now all our local calls, toll calls, cell phone calls are all through the internet at a hugely reduced rate. We now save, on average, 70 to 80% of our previous telephone calls charges, money which we now spend on student achievement and helping kids at school. So I'm going to pass the buck over to Lee and ask him to explain the more intricate details of VoIP. Congratulations, Lee.
Yeah, Chris sort of dropped me in it here a wee bit. He said, well, you organised it for us, so it's your turn to get up and talk. How do you have occasional relations?
We don't very often.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Just wanted to clear that point up. Yeah. Well, Chris gave me a ring and said, look, we're trying to save some money and we're not getting all the answers. So, straight away, when you can save money on your bottom line, you look at your toll calls, how your service is provided by Telecom, Vodafone, Telstra, all those sort of people. And we have used a thing called SIP, and I guess some of you technical people will know about that. Session Initiation Protocol is what it's called, and it's a service that runs over broadband. So you don't have any wires or lines connected to the exchange or the PSTN network. You use what we call an interconnect company who connect from broadband to the PSTN. Now, for example, you can get, I've got some quotes here, from the company that Chris and the school is using, $35 a month, and you can have 5 concurrent telephone calls all at the same time. So that's pretty mind-boggling, really. DDIs, you can have direct dial-ins, you can have 5 of those. And what they do is that they port your existing number to a SIP trunk. So you can retain your existing telephone number, but these calls are going out through the broadband. Now, when fibre comes along, the broadband that you're going to get will support this hugely. It's going to make a hell of a difference to everybody. We use 2Talk at work, and Chris is using it at school, and there's a lot of others using it around town, and you wouldn't know the difference in the quality of service that you're getting. There are a few technical issues when you're interfacing it into a telephone system or something like that, so those are the sorts of things that you've got to think about. But we believe that SIP and other voice over IP technologies is huge, and it's growing very, very quickly. So much so that the technical people sitting up the back here are finding it a hell of a struggle to keep up. And I think it's a fair comment to say that. We have the same problem. So yeah, it is very very rapid in its growth. And I'm absolutely rapt that the council have stuck their hand up and say we want to be first. And congratulate you. Just a little bit on that, and I'm sorry I'm getting off the subject of SIP, but SIP's all about saving money on your business. That's the end of it, really. And there's a few technical issues you've got to do to set it up, but it's very, very easy. And as Chris said, it can save a lot of money. Our company's been lucky enough to get the contract here in Wanganui for putting all the fibre optic cable in the ground, and I must apologise for all the holes being dug around the place. But hey, it's done at night time with as little disruption as possible. So bear with us, it's going to be a long haul. We've got 3 or 4 other cities to do, but believe me, Wanganui's first off the block. So enough for me, and hand it back to our MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris and Lee. It's probably worthwhile mentioning here that the Wanganui District Council is the only council in New Zealand that is actually leading the charge with ultra-fast broadband. So in every other centre that's implementing this, it's led from somewhere else. So that's pretty outstanding to our council. Now our next speaker is Robbie McIntyre. Robbie is the General Manager Central for Core Technology and Aviat Global and has had 25 years experience in IT. He works with clients to apply technology to solve business problems and empowers IT to become enablers to the business. Through innovative new technologies, methodologies, collaboration tools and techniques, he can show you the end very early in your project. Robbie has a personal goal of ensuring customers' expectations are always met with delivery of projects and that these projects are successful. He has a passion for web applications, cloud computing and development of these highly successful future technologies. He has industry experience in education, defence, automobile, manufacturing, distribution, retail banking, real estate, central government and high tech. So over to you now, and Robbie's going to talk today on online sales.
Welcome everybody, great turnout. Great to everybody make the effort to give up a Tuesday night. I'll just fire this up. Kiwis have always punched above their weight. Sport, contributions on the world stage, innovation and invention. The Kiwi web economy is catching up fast and is going to be the fulcrum of Kiwi ingenuity forced on us by lack of scale, distance and economy, and access to massive markets where distance, scale and tenor count for naught. This slide gives you an idea of the size of the market, okay, that broadband will open up to you. So things that seem too small a market niche for us, such as I want to make and sell the best plastic model kits in the world. I want to help people plan for life-changing experiences when they may not control the events, or I want to create a unique real estate marketing experience when you scale them internationally can be huge. That's what broadband does. It turns the market size of your town or your country, to the market that is bigger than we can grasp. How big? For instance, in the next 2 or 3 years, the country with the largest group of English-speaking population in the world will be China. With over 300 million English speakers you can do business with. That's a market being turned on to red wine, luxury foods, eco and niche quality products and experiences. So they're part of a global internet market of 2 billion people. I don't know how many of you have seen this. So this is a project we did for a fairly famous person. So this is Wingnut Wings website. It was the brainchild of Peter Jackson, and it operates from a corrugated iron shed in Miramar. So it's got a staff of 1.3 full-time employees and hugely successful. Now has the reputation of having the highest quality models in the world. The entire business is automated by smart applications developed using our Aviarc software, hosted on the Amazon cloud on the west coast of America. The design and build of the computing and networking was done in just 90 days. So it gives you an idea of how quickly it can be turned around. The laptop didn't work. Yep. With broadband connectivity, you don't even have to be in the same place as your team to make things happen. There's a massive explosion in mobile web computing that's a game changer. We've just completed a project with property brokers. This year's an iPad application, and the real estate agents would just dial in remotely, and the project lead was actually in Europe on holiday. Another success story is the Wool Company, just south of Taihape. They've had online store for 12 years, but have really noticed an increase in the last 2 to 3 years with even big ticket items being purchased. So what it's done for them is it's enabled the Northern Hemisphere sales to take off during summer. They are experiencing people using the online store as a product guide prior to visiting their store. And to give you an idea, Forrester estimates that in USA last year, $917 billion were web influenced, and by 2014 that'll rise to $1,400 billion US dollars, and that's only in America. Doesn't like me. So in closing, here in the Manawatu Wanganui region, we have excellent tertiary institutions, a proud history of raising captains of Kiwi industry, a number 8 attitude, and more clever buggers than you can shake a stick at. And now we have unlimited access to skills, tools, and the number of massive niche market opportunities. Think about it this way. It used to be the case that a couple of passionate, determined people with a cool idea, say based in Fielding, would jump in a car and go to Palmerston or to Wellington. Now with broadband, cloud computing and ultra-modern software tools, because they've ditched the car, they can get to a market of 2 billion people. Today's bucket heads are tomorrow's buckets of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Our next speaker is Melanie Morris. Melanie founded Training and Beyond and Bookkeeping and Beyond in March 2006. Working from home with 2 young children, Melanie had to implement virtual office solutions for clients rather than work on site, and this proved to be the way of the future. Melanie now has a team of bookkeepers and trainers based in Christchurch and Auckland, and has a purpose-built training venue in Christchurch. Melanie has enjoyed a number of roles in her 23 years career in various industries, where she worked in predominantly administrative, recruitment, tertiary tutoring and general management capacities. Her roles have included practice management for a large primary medical provider, administrative management in tertiary public health, travel, construction, manufacturing, and considerable experience in HR recruitment. In 2010, Melanie became the founding president of the New Zealand Bookkeepers Association. Melanie enjoys thinking outside the square. Her first entrepreneurial project 20 years ago was to set up a worm farm operation in Christchurch, which distributed worm farms and worms to garden centres. Melanie says accounting and training is a much cleaner way of filling in the day rather than with worms. This broad background enables Melanie to identify with the business needs of most of her clients. Her goal is to facilitate a mutually beneficial relationship which saves time, frustration and money, and which maximises potential. So Melanie is going to speak to us today on a number of cloud-based applications which make ultra-fast broadband possible, or made possible by ultra-fast broadband.
Thank you very much for that nice introduction. Wrote it myself. Good. Right, I'm delighted to be here today. Thank you very much, John, and your team for bringing me here. It's just wonderful. And so thrilled to see that the Council has embraced the UFB and that you'll be really reaping the rewards of this very, very soon. You know, it's hard to believe that the internet is only 20 years old. Some of you may remember when internet banking came in. We're all like, oh, shock horror. How's it going to work? We've got to log on, we've got to do banking, it's a conspiracy. And nowadays we're all just using Wi-Fi's, this type of thing. If you can't work something out or you haven't got our net round, then just ask your nearest 12-year-old kid, and they're going to work it out for you. My first job, other than worm farming and bits and pieces, was actually as an office junior for a travel company. And one of my jobs, believe it or not, was to do the daily telexing. Who remembers telex machines? I did start work very, very young, by the way. Get that right. So this telex machine, for those that don't know what this is about, it's probably in a museum now. Huge room, massive machine, soundproofed. And so you enter and we telex through the travel bookings to Wellington and Auckland. And so it seemed to be magic, you keyed the stuff in, this big long tape came out, and then you fed it back through the machine again, and in Wellington and Auckland, the bookings are coming out. So that was amazing. If we fast forward to now, as I said before, we're all Wi-Fi and 3G and all the bits and bobs there. And just have a wee peek into the future, your very near future. When you go on UFB, you're going to be just amazing with the cloud platforms that you can hook into. My job now, in a brief 30 minutes, I've been told, don't go over, is to briefly introduce you to the cloud platforms that are going to help your business, streamline your business, give you efficiencies, and help embrace the future of the different business that we've got. From a personal note, now that we've gone onto the cloud with most of our business solutions, we've actually saved between 10 and 15 hours of administrative work in the bookkeeping business alone. And that's considerable. That's someone doing data entry, someone else printing it out, someone else redoing the data entry, and then getting through to the accounts. The first little number is Xero. Can you hear me okay? It's fading in and out. So Xero is an online accounting software. You may have heard of it. It was launched in 2006 by Rod Jury, who's an IT entrepreneur of international fame, and Hamish Edwards, who is a chartered accountant. So it's gone global. It's a publicly listed company now. So Rod and Hamish realised that the old system of accounts was a little bit broken. You had your version 12 of your accounting software and you had your PC machine. Popped it in there, and as a business owner you worked away on the accounts, did the GST, etc. Sometime later, maybe a year later, the accountant would be chasing you in their revenue, hope not, trying to find where your end-of-year reports are. So then you would back up your version 12 software, either put it on a flash drive or email it through or pop it on a CD, something like that, and the accountant would get it. They immediately put it into a different version of software. So they change the data straight away, and then they do their magic, they do depreciation, and so on and so forth. So sometime in the future, maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, you're actually sitting down with your accountant, your trusted financial advisor, and they're telling you how well or how badly you did. It's kind of, it's broken. Meanwhile, back at the farm, you're sitting there keying in and changing data on version 12 of the data that the accountant's just finished. So Xero is an online accounting software. It's real time. There's one version of it at any one time. So you log in like you do for internet banking. You can have as many users as you like. You don't suddenly get a bill for more versions or users or user roles on it. And you can have different permission levels. So once you get into Xero, you can see all these different things. So in a nutshell, with Xero, the online banking transactions from today, so today when you went and did your FPOS, or you did some bill payments this afternoon, or you did your wages via direct credit, they will all be downloaded into the accounting software tomorrow, exactly the same as your bank. So the bank feeds are directly into the accounting software. No need to do more data entry or anything like that. The other beauty of Xero, of course, is that it's all in the cloud, so your data is backed up constantly and it's safe, so you don't need to worry about it. There's no need to do backups or anything on a local PC. And you can log in from anywhere. So when you're in Italy, having your holiday, because you save so much time and money with your UFB, you can log in and have a look at your business. So here we've got the dashboard. This bit is quite brief. I mean, I trade on Xero. It takes me 6 hours with accountants. I've got 10 minutes, so we'll just have to squish it in a little bit. So basically, Xero is designed for you, the end user, and it's all about dashboards. It's all about intuition and being able to quickly check your financial accounts. So when you came here today, you probably drove. When you jumped in your car, you turned on the key. You knew within a couple of seconds if you had petrol problems, oil problems, that type of thing. So Xero is a financial dashboard. So left-hand side, you have your bank accounts. You know exactly what's in your bank and how many items you've got reconciled that come through from those bank feeds. The right-hand top has your key performance indicators. So you choose your business. You know what your business is. Is it just wages that you want to have up there, sales versus purchases? Just a good look to see what's happening for the month and the year to date. And then it also has money coming in, and below that it has money going out. It's quite graphy, and it's very easy to use, and people just love it. We have expense claims as well, which are just fantastic. So here we go. This is actually in Xero itself. So this is on the left-hand, your left. On the left-hand side, these are the bank transactions. So this is exactly what's happened in your banks. It's the same as your online internet banking, if you looked at that. On the right-hand side is where you code your accounts. There's 2 transactions, make one with accounting, make one transaction. So you'll notice on the top one there that we've got some money in from somewhere called Ridgeway University at 6187.50. On the right-hand side, Xero has recognised that there's an outstanding accounts receivable invoice for this company worth 6187.50. And so it's matched it. He said, hey, do you think it's this? Awesome. All you do is hit OK. You have then reconciled your bank, you've updated your GST, and you've matched off the accounts receivable invoice. It's that simple, there's no trickery. That's it. If indeed you've got more than one invoice worth 6187.50, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? It would actually come up with a little blue hyperlink underneath saying there's 9 other possible matches or 2 other possible matches. You pop in there and it gives you the list. And so if you have a business that has subscriptions, the same amount of invoicing going out to 100 people, you can do one invoice, send it out to 100 people, and the matching process comes through here. The one underneath is money going out, so we paid a bill and on internet banking, and Xero has gone and found there was an accounts payable invoice outstanding for the same amount of money. So it said, is it this one? Okay, that's good. So you've updated your GST. Lots of other features, I can't go into them right now. So, to think about linking your Xero, we have something called an API, which is just a fancy term for linking using an encrypted code. Every Xero organisation has this encrypted code, and so within users, within this room and here, if you're on Xero and you're doing business together, you would send each other these encrypted codes, and that links your accounts. Not that you can see each other's accounts. So for example, if Annette and I were doing some business and I was delivering some training for you and you were on Xero, I would email you that key. You would then copy and paste that key into my contact in your Xero. If you're a nice person, which I think you are, you'd probably send me your key, and then would be linked. So let's say I do some training for you, I would raise an accounts receivable invoice, and I wouldn't email it or print it or do anything like that, I would send it through the cloud. So it automatically ticks through the cloud and ends up in a Nets accounts payable draft invoices. No posting, no 50-cent stamp, not even a nanosecond. It's done, so it's going to be faster next year for you as well. So then all Annette does is go, oh okay, well that was good, I'll open this up, and she does get an email with a PDF attached to it so she knows it's come through. So then she decides how she's going to code it, because it might be consulting, accounting, it could be a waste of time for her, whatever she wants to put it to, and then it's all done. So that's the beauty of the cloud, and that's how we use the network key. So now I'm going to move into the other cloud platforms, and just remember this is kind of how it works. It is magic. You don't really need to understand it, but the idea is that the information is going from one software to the other automatically, and it's sharing information. So there's a basic, you've got some good handouts here today, and so I encourage you to read through the handouts, to look at all the free trials. All the New Zealand-based software cloud providers that I'm talking about today do have free trials. Rod Jury said at the conference this year that we're at the end of the beginning. It's a famous quote of his. And so in a nutshell what that means is that they've built Xero, they've built the accounting software, it works really well, it's robust, everything's fine, and now they can do the cool stuff. And the cool stuff is where it gets exciting for a lot of people. So they've got things like Xero Touch, it's an app that we work here, and you can log into your business, you can see what your accounts are doing, and you can do expense claims. So a lot of you are running around all the time, mobile, and you can, if you're having a business meeting and having a cup of coffee, take a photograph of the receipt, and it uploads to the expense claim automatically. Pretty cool. We've got New Zealand Post automatically updating and finding addresses for you as you enter in data into Xero. Things like that is the future, and it's just going to get better and better. Pricing plan there, so Xero's on a subscription basis, in fact they all are, and so it's a monthly fee. Workflow Max. So most of you out there have got a business requirement, whether it's selling a service, building something, or some kind of job costing, architectural firms, that type of thing. And Workflow Max is really like having your procedure manual online with you, prompting you the whole way through to do the job correctly, accurately and efficiently. So it's online job costing. We can go into some detail, but I won't today. I just encourage you to look at the webinars and find out more about it. I'll just go through the key points next. When we're talking about these cloud platforms and the cloud software, we have to think that we're actually going to work in just one of them. So we would, if you were going to have job costing, you would work in Workflow Max only. It's a bit like the master and the slave, not in a kinky way, but just you do all of your work in Workflow Max, it flows through to Xero, and your finances are sitting there ticking along with your GST return. So Workflow Max is suitable for any type of service time-based business, like our bookkeeping business, for example. We set up jobs for GST returns for our clients, and we allocate staff to those jobs, we allocate to-do lists. So it's no-brainer. It's just working with you and for you. The staff know that GST returns due on the 28th. They get an email to say that there's a bank reconciled, and we've got the expense claims in, is everything fine? And then we take it through to invoicing. And so we invoice in Workflow Max, and it seamlessly goes through to Xero as an accounts receivable invoice. Really simple. At the end of the week, with that kind of service-based product system, the timesheets for the staff, they actually put a stop clock on and off as they go through the week, through the jobs. And so they clock on, clock off. It's all drop-down menus, so they're working for Disneyland, it's clock on, clock off. At the end of the week, we actually submit those timesheets and close them off, and it seamlessly goes off to iPayroll and populates the payroll for us. So when I said earlier it saves you a lot of time, effort and data entry, this is what it does, this is the power. So you enter in the data once as you go, and it starts to populate the rest of your your business. So if you were a builder and you're building a house, you can do the same thing. It's all templated. You might have something like having a meeting with the client, scoping out the job. A milestone could be consents with the council, that type of thing, and just take it through. And in a building environment, you might want to just invoice out retentions, and so you just invoice out on a percentage base. It's really good for that. Really good to see the downtime. The raw materials that you purchase to build the houses, for example, are all entered into Workflow Max as a cost, and then that ends up in Xero as accounts payable. But the crucial thing here is that you're getting real financial reporting and job costing. Another small angle there is some of you might tender for jobs. And you know how you spend a long time working out quotes and you're trying to get the tender right, and it'll be hours and hours and hours, and you submit it, you don't get the job, and that's that. Or you do get the job, and that's great. But wouldn't it be nice to actually know what your time and cost was in that tender process? So iPayroll is just, there's quite a few online payroll providers. iPayroll's one that we work with, we're a professional provider there. So as I said earlier, the information from Workflow Max can be integrated directly into iPayroll, and that populates the hours for the pay run. The pay run can be templated, and that can just be like on a salary basis or an hourly basis. It's very, very cool when it comes to casual workers. It puts, you can pay your holiday pay as you go, all that type of thing. It's got excellent reporting, interface directly with Xero. One really superb feature that we use a lot is we have the annual leave liability coming out of our payroll immediately into the balance sheet in Xero. So you just know at any one time that if your staff go on holiday or everyone leaves or something happens, you know what your liability is there rather than having a shock. Another great feature is a payroll kiosk, and a payroll kiosk is we don't actually print pay slips anymore. The staff just do an online login with your own little password. They can go in and print their own pay slips if they wish to, or just review them online. They can look at their history as well. The other thing they can do is actually apply for leave using their payroll kiosk. So they log on, they say, right, I'd like to go on holiday on the 27th and 28th of this month. They can put a reason in there if they wish. And then you get an email to say, approve, decline, what are you going to do with it. If you approve it, when the 27th and the 28th rolls over in the pay period, it automatically updates and puts the annual leave in. It's amazing. Also handles child support, court fines, all that sort of thing. When we talk about being a PAYE intermediary, that's when iPayroll actually act on behalf of you and submit the IR345 and the IR348 for you each month. So you never miss a return again, and anyone that's had a $250 late filing fee will feel that one. Having a look at Unleashed. Unleashed is inventory, stock control. Has anyone got stock control or inventory requirements? Yeah, a few people. If you've got it, it's worth looking at. The power of having this online is amazing. So Unleashed has got multiple products, it's got multiple selling tiers. You can put all of your information into Unleashed and it will flow through to Xero. So you purchase your products, you land your products, you then raise your sales invoices and you send the invoices out. You can have multiple warehouses as well. And every time you raise a sales invoice and you approve it, it then raises a stock journal automatically in Xero and updates the balance sheet for your stock on hand. Pretty cool. The other thing that Unleashed is very good at is a multi-currency. So some of you will be buying your stock in using forward exchange contracts, and so you can do all of that through Unleashed, land it, and then Xero also has a multi-currency feature on the other side. So we're kind of talking global village. We're talking about people that have built businesses that hook into the cloud and they all work together and make our life so much easier. And it's just magic. So if you've got a distribution business, you've got lots of different, you can either bring the products in, you can sell them before you got them. We talk about negative stock. Pretty clever. So you bring the container in, we haven't even got the container yet, you're selling everything online, using online sales, and then you go into negative stock. When the container arrives, you land it, and you sell it and tickety-boo. Meanwhile, your financials are all looking fantastic. Hopefully. So they've got pricing there, and they have free trials and things like that as well. Have a look at them. Very good. Did I mention there's a homegrown New Zealand companies? Do you not think that's pretty amazing that these products, they're global products now, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, and actually here in our backyard? So we're looking at backing up the data, and as Annette said to me earlier, you know, you've got your iTunes and things like that on your iPad or your, you know, your iPhone, and now we've got the iCloud, and everything's just syncing as we speak. We're probably syncing now, and I'm not even doing anything. It's keeping everything going for me. So, well, I'm a Christchurch girl, and an interesting thing, you know, with the earthquake that we had in February was a lot of people lost their data, and they thought they had backups, and they thought they had things under control, but indeed they didn't. And we were very fortunate that our business was fine down in the training centre, and so we opened up a business recovery centre a week or so after the earthquake, and people came in there and just sort of meet initially, and then sort of start to think about the business and what they're going to do. And the same stories came through each time, but the server's still in town, it's still in the red zone. Or the backup disk is still actually attached to the server, that's in the red zone. Or that the backup disk is in the receptionist's handbag, that's still under the desk in the red zone. So these sorts of things, I mean, I know it sounds a wee bit boring and repetitive, but if that's your whole business, what are you going to do? Thinking about your business right now, what would happen right now? Do you have a backup? Have you got it on you? Has someone else got it? Have you got more than one? It's hideous to think about, really. And although I would hate to think of anything happening like Christchurch anywhere else, you know, other things do happen. You know, people spill water on their laptops and so forth. So it's just really important to consider your backups and consider if you can restore your data from your backups. Make sure that, you know, even if you think you've been a good person and putting a backup disk down in the vault at the bank, that the bank is not going to be affected by the same thing that you've been affected by. Or better still, look at the cloud. It's a no, you know, you don't need to worry then. You can set these things up, they sync automatically. There's lots of options. We've got a really good option for you in your handout there. And it's important, it's a very important part of your business to make sure that you're protecting yourself, protecting your business and protecting your staff. Because if you lose your data, you've lost everything. You've lost your database, you've lost your customers. And we did also find that with the business interruption insurance, they wanted to have 2 years trading, 2 years profit and loss and balance sheets for them to be able to pay out the business interruption insurance. It's gone, what do you do? So fortunately with Xero we were able to reconstruct those accounts. We just downloaded all the information from the bank and quickly coded it up, and so at least they had sort of sales versus income versus expenses. So that was the best we could do there. And even the government subsidy that came out really quickly to pay the staff, they actually wanted to have the payroll data and then revenue numbers for the staff. Well, if you've lost everything, would you know what your inland revenue number was for all your staff and the hourly rate and what they'd earned? While you're stressed. So please do consider your backup policy, consider your disaster recovery, and consider the cloud for the backup. And you don't need to worry, it's always going to be there. So video conferencing is another game changer really. We've got lots of new tools that are coming out. You've got some really, in your notes there, that's good information. We find that video conferencing, the tools now for education and training are just amazing. You can invite specialists in to your training session for the 10 minutes, and they could be anywhere in the world. So you can get the best of the best without actually flying them in and putting them up in a hotel and all that sort of stuff. So it's very, very good for that. The quality is amazing. But when you get your UFB, you're going to just be right there in the room with them. Just share a quick wee story. My friend's grandmother is 100 years old, so you imagine what she's seen over the time, you know, all the different technology. And my friend had a baby late last year, and that was really neat. And so I went round to Nana Newman's, you know, little unit there, and I took the trusty lap book and we Skyped and introduced that baby to Nana Newman, who's 100. So it's just amazing. And she didn't understand it, she didn't get it. It was magic, but she certainly appreciated seeing that baby. So if you think of Skype and things like that, that's the sort of the entry level. The type of tools that we've got now for the video conferencing are just phenomenal. So what to do, where to start? It's all very well me standing up here. I do this, that's my job, is talk about people about the cloud and train people in the cloud. You're probably thinking, oh, okay, where's the next drink? But apart from that, you need to think about how you're going to move forward. So I think the best thing to do is to start at the end. Start at the end of what you want and work back to the beginning. Then your scoping for the platform that you're going to use, how you're going to implement it, how you're going to set it up is going to be more logical. So if you jump in there, boots and all, and you don't really know what you want at the end as far as profit and loss, or whether you're going to track regions, or whether you're going to track your employees, then everything could be a little bit funny. The other thing I'd really recommend is to try and get the input and the buy-in from your staff. Because generally they're the ones that are going to be doing all the change management with you. So rather than sort of just saying this is what we're doing, just help the change management. Don't skimp on the training. Don't skimp on the training and implementation. We often have to do rescues where people have leapt in, got themselves going after the barbecue on Saturday night because someone said it was a good idea. And a couple of months down the track they're wondering, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't understand. So there's a lot of these platforms have free webinars, they get you started. So please make sure that you follow those through. So your challenge. We are a very challenged generation. Not challenged, but challenged in the fact that we've seen everything from the internet being implemented. We've seen fax machines and things like old cat now, isn't it? Scanners. We've got the Broadband. Now we've got the UFB. So we've got so much going on. We've now got to embrace that and take another leap of faith. I can assure you that if you do take that leap of faith, or when you do, the benefits and the efficiencies that you bring into your business and for yourself, and the time saved, it's just going to be mind-boggling. That's it for me. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you for your attention. I'm not thinking I fell asleep. Checking. And I'm really looking forward to watching the developments here in Wanganui. Well done.